Hello, you special, spectacular superstars. His name is Aaron, and he just woke up from a nap.
His name's Tommy, and he loves the taste of GameCube discs.
And this is the SuperPod Saga. It's the SuperPod Saga, your favorite podcast on the planet. Aaron and I are not alone today. We've got a special guest. His name is Troy from the TroytlePower Presents, the Power Playthroughs podcast with TroytlePower. Welcome to the show, Troy.
Hey, thanks. I feel like I should have a cool theme song I play for myself after that intro, but I don't.
Everyone just imagine a really cool theme song.
It was like the coolest theme song. It was like a 90s wrestling entrance. Is pretty much what happened.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It'll be like Stone Cold Steve Austin's.
Yes.
He's got to come out slamming two like Arizona iced teas or something. Cool.
Arizona iced teas. Oh man. Troy, why don't you tell our wonderful listeners a bit about yourself, what video games you enjoy, and then tell us about your podcast.
Sure. I'm Troy, and I started playing video games like when I came home from the hospital because my brother was 7 years older than me and was playing Zelda while I was being born.
Nice.
And I basically stuck as a Nintendo fanboy since then. I'm like not toxic fanboy, but like I like Nintendo stuff a lot. And I now do a podcast, as mentioned, TroytlePower Presents, the Power Playthroughs podcast with TroytlePower, which is like it's an audio only Let's Play podcast. It's like Twitch for your ears. And sometimes I play through a whole game. Right now, I'm very slowly playing through Oracle of Ages for the first time. And most often I play random Switch games and record like first impressions episodes about them. So if you have a Switch and want to hear about a whole wide variety of Switch games, you should head to your podcatcher and type in TroytlePower and I'll come up.
Yeah.
And then I write as well at Geek to Geek Media. That's like my other big thing. So if you want to not hear my spur of the moment thoughts, but slightly more collected thoughts, you can go to geektogeekmedia.com and read my words.
If you want to listen to Troy's words, if you want to read Troy's words, they are out there.
My words are out there.
Do you have a social media where people can find stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so if you just want to find links to things, like if you don't want to actually interact with me, TroytlePower.com has links to like all the stuff I do, including the things I've mentioned and other stuff. I do a Star Trek podcast and stuff. But I'm on Twitter at TroytlePower. I'm checking it more frequently, this week, but the amount I check Twitter goes up and down as the amount of like horde toxicity on Twitter goes up and down. So
yes, absolutely. I like that. That's a neat concept for a podcast.
It's very fun. There's dozens of us now. I think I was the fifth person doing it, but we now have a whole little community of audio only Let's Play podcasters.
Yes. If
like our boys at the Play Along podcast.
Community.
We consider them cousins because they're book club style, whereas a true audio only Let's Play is you're hearing the player as they're playing the game, but we have them listed as cousins, I believe.
Cousins.
Okay.
Cousins. They got the family tree all made out.
The First Encounter boys actually made a list. Nice. First Encounter is one of the other audio on the Let's Play podcast, and they for a while were maintaining a list on their website of all the games people had covered in that format, and it was absurd, and I think they gave up on it. But yeah, it's fun. If you like my dumb show, there's a lot of other people doing similar things in a much higher quality. They're just less dumb, so it's a question of whether you want quality or dumbness. Yeah.
Speaking of dumb shows, if you're a first-time listener to our podcast right now, this is the show where Aaron and me and a lot of times a special guest, we bring a different topic to the table every week, and we discuss it until there's nothing left to discuss, until everything has been said. And we're going to do that every week until we run out of things to talk about. And Aaron was
specifically about video games, yeah?
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about outside of video games. Whew,
specifically video games. Thank you.
Every topic in the world. Today's topic is pita bread.
We just haven't gotten past video games yet. What's our topic for today, Aaron?
Launch title, our favorite launch titles.
Favorite launch titles. Nothing is better than unwrapping that console, hooking it all up, waiting for things to download if you're playing more modern day stuff, and getting some of those sweet, juicy launch titles. Right, guys?
Juicy, yes.
Yeah, there's just a special kind of hype about a launch title. It's like, because it gets like multiplied by the hype for the system. So much excitement.
Yes. So, Aaron, since this is your topic that you picked, would you like to go first? Would you like to tell us what a launch title you enjoy?
Yes, but also listeners can find us at superpodsaga.com. That's where we are, by the way.
We are.
The first one I had down is one of the best ones in my opinion, Luigi's Mansion.
Ooh.
2001, Luigi's Mansion, the second game where Luigi was the main character of a game.
What was the first one?
It was Mario's Lost or Mario's Gone.
Mario's Missing.
Oh yeah,
Mario's
of course. How
go.
could I forget?
That's so far off. Yeah, Luigi's Mansion though, it was just nobody expected it, nobody asked for it, and it was really good. It was just Luigi in a fucking mansion with fucking ghosts, with a fucking vacuum, and Professor E fucking Gad, King fucking Boo, and it was good. You just vacuum up ghosts. It's just this ghost family you're sucking up and collecting, like shaking drawers and or dressers and shit to get money out, because there's cash hidden in like the chandeliers and shit. And you have your game. What was the Game Boy called? The Game Boy Spook or something like that?
The Game Boy Spook.
Spook Boy Color.
I have no idea.
The Poltergeist is the vacuum.
Yeah, I remember Poltergeist.
Oh, no.
Game Boy Horror. That's what it was. Game Boy Horror.
Game Boy Horror. Oh man.
Sorry, folks. I was so fucking far off. Sorry.
Yeah, what a crazy idea for a video game, especially a launch title for your new system. You're gonna play as Luigi in a scary mansion, and you've got a vacuum that sucks up ghosts. Like, who came up with that, and why?
It's a weird concept. Like, nothing in all of Mario predating this really suggests that should be Luigi's role. Like, it's very weird.
It's a very weird one. When I first saw it I read a lot of magazines back in the day, and there were a lot of sneak previews of the different games that were coming to the GameCubes, which back then was a Project Dolphin. But Luigi's Mansion was one that was just so different and so fun. It looked like, and sure enough, it was great. I've played through it 4 times, and it's awesome.
Really, I've never touched a Luigi's Mansion. I've never.
What?
Never ever. No, I didn't. My GameCube, I probably didn't even know Luigi's Mansion existed for a long time, because my GameCube games were all boring sports stuff, because I was a sports gamer.
They're very fun. I think I played probably about half of the first one, and then I've only played a little bit of 3, which is on the Switch. And Luigi's Mansion 3 is, I think, still one of the best looking games on the Switch. It is absolutely beautiful.
Man, what a weird lineage too. I'm sure there's not too many. It might be the only Nintendo franchise that goes GameCube, 3DS, Switch.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the Monster Hunter series went all over the fucking place. It was PS2, Wii U, 3DS, PSP, everything in between. Just a good bunch of healthy stuff.
That's a good one. That's good.
To Switch as well, because Rise was Switch exclusive at launch. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Monster Hunter, has had a wide range of exclusivity.
They've had 2 on the Switch so far.
Man, Monster Hunter, Luigi. What about you, Mr. Troy? What's a launch title you got in the brain?
I'm gonna go to the Game Boy Advance, because I love the Game Boy Advance, and I'm gonna cheat and give an honorable mention here. Pour one out for Advance Wars, which missed the launch for Game Boy Advance. It was supposed to be there at launch, and instead it came out September 10th, 2001. It's a game about war that came out the day before September 11th, and so it had a lot of problems there, and then was supposed to get relaunched right after Russia invaded Ukraine. So the Advance Wars perpetually coming out at the wrong time.
But
what I'm going to go for is Super Dodgeball Advance.
Super Dodgeball Advance.
Have you played this?
You're gonna make me Google something on your first pick.
Super Dodgeball Advance is a spin-off from the River City, or rather from the Kunio-kun series of games in Japan, which have 100 games in that series, and we've only gotten 8 of them in the States. But Super Dodgeball Advance is it's a dodgeball game. Like, it's a sports game where you have a team and you go through a league and there's a championship, but it's all dodgeball, and it's a very cool form of dodgeball where you have 4 players on the court, but then you also have 3 players, one on each side of the opponent's half of the court. So you can like jump in the air and then throw your ball across to the person that's on the sidelines on their side, and then they can do like a special throw and throw it at the opposing team. Or you can like run and jump over the line, and so you can like dive bomb straight down on people. It's a really good, fun, weird sports title that has had no successor. There was a game called Dodgeball Academia that came out a few years ago.
Ooh, that one was fun.
It's fun, but it's not as good. It's a better overall game because it's got like a story to it, and there's a lot of really funny writing in Dodgeball Academia. The dodgeball itself is doing the same thing as Super Dodgeball Advance, but just not quite as good. It's a game I still go back to. I still have my original cartridge. I'm slowly selling off my physical collection of games right now, and that's one that I'm like, I think I'll just keep this one. It's small. I can just hide it in a drawer.
I'm curious. So, yeah. How because since it was a launch title, were the graphics pretty good for it being a launch Game Boy Advance title, or would we look at it and be like, oh, I'm kind of surprised this is a Game Boy Advance?
No, it looks like a Game Boy Advance title, but I think that comes again from it having the lineage of the Kunio-kun series, because they'd done Super Nintendo games and stuff at that point. So It takes kind of the art style from that, from the prettier versions of those games, and just puts it on Game Boy Advance. And it still looks good. It's still fun. It's remarkable how many like different strategies there are with only limited face buttons that the Game Boy Advance has. Which is part of why I think it's such a good launch title. I feel like it shows off how that hardware can really work even without having a lot of inputs.
Yes, very well put. Good pick. Aaron and I message each other. We're like, I got a game that's going to surprise you. And Aaron's like, me too. And then you blow us out of the water.
Super dodgeball.
My first pick is one of the... I didn't get a lot of consoles at launch because they cost money. But one of the ones I did get was the Nintendo Wii. And Wii Sports for the Nintendo Wii just... Oh, man, that's like...
Damn it.
Yeah, suck it. It's such an experience. Like, that was the revolution in gaming, because man, it's so hard to describe because now we kind of have motion controls in basically everything, but back then just hearing like, yeah, you take this Wii remote and you move around, it moves your character on the screen, it just sounds impossible. And then when you actually get to play it and you're like, I'm swinging this racket like a wild man and it's happening on the screen. And I remember opening up my Nintendo Wii and showing my dad the Wii remote and nunchuck, and I'd be like, this is the controller, isn't it cool? He's like, that looks stupid. And I'm like, no, it's cool, you waggle it.
We'll be waggling for years.
You don't want to waggle?
Son, that's stupid. Now go get me a roll of Copenhagen.
Yes. Oh, you hit the nail on the head there, Aaron.
My dad injured himself playing the boxing game in Wii Sports.
Oh no.
To the point that I think it was, he ended up with tennis elbow, if I remember right, but I think it was like a condition that was there. It just wasn't bothersome enough for him to get it looked at until he played Wii boxing and like threw his elbow out in the process, and had to have a sling for a while afterwards.
Dang.
Dislocated the fuck out of it. It came clean out, dude.
He just got wrecked by Wii boxing.
Arm just falls off.
Yep. There we go.
Oh man, Wii Sports is just like such the perfect package for like, here's what the Nintendo Wii can do, here's how you do the controls, point at the screen, click around, use the Miis. We got Miis, and you're gonna love them. Just, oh man, great everything. I love Wii Sports. And they tried replicating it with Switch Sports, and it really doesn't seem like it caught on nearly as much, but it was a time and place thing, I guess.
I feel like they dropped the ball on marketing Wii Sports like a lot. It just came and went with no fanfare. It's almost like that should have been a launch title for the Switch.
Yeah, absolutely. Silly Nintendo.
Oh, they're so great and also awful.
Yeah. It's a big mix.
Sorry.
Aaron, your turn.
The next one I had is another GameCube one, and it's a series that Tommy knows that I love. Super Monkey Ball.
Oh. Yes, I remember playing the demo of that and being like, I hate this.
Oh my god, Tommy. Oh, Super Monkey Ball is just good, clean arcade fun. It's just monkeys and balls, and you just guide them through these mazes. Sometimes there's like cool little mini games like Monkey Target or like Monkey Bowling. Sometimes there's cool unlockables. Some stages are real fucking bastards. Like I still haven't beaten the newest one that's on Switch because there's just this one stage that I cannot fucking beat. It's impossible. How anybody can beat some of these stages is just so far beyond my comprehension. I can't even begin to understand. It's wild and wacky, but I still love the characters. Like I love I love Gon, I love Baby, I love all the characters. I love them. And then you're picking up bananas, and they make funny little sounds. They're like after you win, and like oh my god, oh the music, so good. I love it.
Gosh, you're just giving me GameCube flashbacks. What a great time the GameCube. I don't want to be like old man in here, but it was just video games. No microtransactions, no DLC. Just like here's some fun.
No day one patches. If a game was broken, it was broken forever.
Yeah, and there's nothing you could do about it.
The way we liked it. I have a question about Monkey Ball because I'm very unfamiliar with the series. I know it exists. I've seen it. I've probably played it once or twice. I hear people, when they talk about Monkey Ball, make a particular point of saying that you're not controlling the monkey. You're controlling the stage.
Yes, that's true.
Exactly.
My question is, what does that mean from a gameplay perspective?
No, yeah, basically you're just tilting, and like, you're tilting the stage like forward, backwards, side to side, and like the corners and stuff like that. So yeah, you're really just tilting the stage, and then the monkey just rolls wherever you go.
Yeah, the stage is like suspended in space, and the monkey is on it, and you are tilting the stage to have him roll around. So the momentum is incredibly important.
Okay.
It's like the Breath of the Wild ball puzzles where you had to tilt those around.
Okay,
it's exactly
that makes
like
more sense. So like if you want to make a turn, you got to be thinking about tilting back to slow down as well as tilting. Okay. All right, that makes more sense then.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Hey, your turn, Troy.
All right.
I'm gonna do a double whammy. I'm taking Tetris.
Yes.
You can't stop me.
Yes.
And I was saying it's a double whammy because Tetris DX was also a launch title for the Game Boy Color. So Tetris launched two different Game Boys. And DX is really the one that I personally have a fondness for. I mean, it's Tetris, okay? I'm not going to tell you about Tetris. It's a perfect video game.
Yes,
There's nothing else to say.
Oh my gosh, yes, I say that every single day when I wake up.
I look in the mirror and I say Tetris is a perfect video game. If only it was in color, and then boom, Tetris DX comes out, and now it's in color for the first time ever because the Nintendo Entertainment System didn't exist. It's just, I don't know. There's a spaceship on the cover on the art for Tetris DX. I don't know why there's a spaceship there. Like, it's not like a future fancy spaceship. It's just like a NASA spaceship, but that's just burned into my brain. And Tetris DX was the one I spent so much time on. I remember specifically being on a flight and my mom asking me if she could play my Game Boy because I had Tetris DX on my Game Boy Color, and my mom loved Tetris. So yeah, Tetris DX I think is just that is my favorite version of Tetris. Like, Tetris Effect is cool and like playing in VR is amazing. Ooh, but Tetris DX was just, it was always there for me in my Game Boy, ready to play, and I love it so.
Have you played Tetris Effect in VR?
I have played Tetris Effect in VR. It's amazing. Ooh. It's incredible, but you know, like I don't really want Tetris Effect to be, or I don't want Tetris to be all encompassing. It's cool when it is, but I want to be able to just, you know, play some Tetris. And that's what I feel like Tetris DX was for me.
Yeah.
We just want to play some Tetris.
Yeah, I played through Tetris Effect on the Xbox, which was not in virtual reality. It was in reality. And I beat all the stages, and I was like, okay, yeah, it was Tetris with cool music. All right. It like didn't do much for me, but everyone loves it. You know,
I mean, it's cool. It looks really good. It has good music, and when you play it in VR, it is like overwhelming. It is a assault on the senses. I'm sure. I played it sitting in. My dad had a big Easy Boy at his house, and I was playing it there in VR, and I just leaned or Lazy Boy, like big leather, way too poofy, and it leaned all the way back, and I just laid down and played Tetris Effect in VR.
Let the Tetris wash over you.
It was an experience.
So, did you play the Game Boy Tetris, the original?
I'm sure I did. I had an original Game Boy, but I think maybe my brother and I shared the original Game Boy, and then the Game Boy Color, like that was my Game Boy. That's the one that I have more memories of.
My grandma had the Game Boy one, and so when they released that on the Switch, online, whatever, playing that again and hearing all those sound effects was like magic to my ears. And I was hoping that you had a memory of the sound it makes when you play a Tetris, or when you make a Tetris, because I've seen people on Twitter being like, what is this sound effect, because it's a nightmare. And I was going to ask you to replicate it, but it's okay if you can't.
I can't think of the sound it makes in anything. I'm totally blanking on it.
No, it's okay. It's once you hear it, you'll be like, oh gosh, that's disgusting. You'll have to look it up later.
Have you all seen the trailer for the Tetris movie that's coming out?
Yes, rated R Tetris movie.
It looks so good. It looks so good. They're making a movie. It's a dramatization of the story of how Tetris got made, which was it's a political thriller because the game was invented in Russia, like, during the Cold War, and so it's a political thriller about the creation of Tetris, or I guess more about the acquisition of Tetris, because it looks like it's about the guy who brought it from Russia to the Game Boy.
And it is heavily... Sorry, Aaron, you go.
I was just going to say, Tetris Effect in VR sounds like the most terrifying game to play if you were really fucked up on peyote. But you can go ahead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The movie looks so heavily dramatized, though, and I love it. Like, there's like the scene where they're like, this is the Game Boy. This is the most advanced piece of technology.
They're like, only 12 people in the world have seen what you're about to see.
Yeah, it's a
Jesus
Game Boy.
Christ.
I love it. It just seems so perfect. Like, just you can't just tell that story straight, because it's not going to be as exciting. But making it like over the top just sounds perfect. I'm gonna have to subscribe to Apple Plus or whatever it is just to watch it.
It's like the show Get Smart. There's like fucking 14 doors you're going through, and they're like, but you have to get like
what a reference
sanitized or whatever. Yeah, they have like
Get Smart.
There's like pressurization rooms, or like what you're about to see has never been shown to anybody outside of this company. And then they're like taking your like a blood sample and like scanning your retinas and like breaking your fingers and repositioning them. Like, all right, here you go, it's a Game Boy.
All for the Game Boy. The green screen and everything. Oh man. Ooh. Okay. I got another like super basic boring pick, and then I'm gonna get to the fun ones after that. So I apologize for not being exciting. You guys ever hear of Super Mario 64?
Yeah, I heard about it once or twice.
I think so.
Man, it's like Mario, but he's in 3D, and you control it in a 3D space, which I think is probably one of the most important launch titles, just because the taking Mario, which is beloved and had like a bunch of hit games at that point, being like, how do we make this 3D? How do we make it fun? How do we keep the spirit of Mario alive in 3 dimensions, and then doing it and making it its own special magical thing is really, really cool. I'm also a sucker for video games having in-game explanations for mechanics. So the fact that they were like, yeah, Lakitu is going to follow you around. You control him with the C buttons. That's how you're seeing what's happening right now. It's a Lakitu. They totally didn't need to do that, or Lakitu. I don't know how it's pronounced. I pronounce it Lakitu.
We knew what you were talking. Everybody knows what you're talking about. That's all
good. And I just love that totally unnecessary explanation. But they also nailed a 3D game with only one stick somehow. I like imagine doing that today.
Yeah, they hit the nail on the head with Mario 64, because not only was he in more than 2 dimensions now, but they added to his moveset. There was a lot of different shit he could do. Because 2D Mario was literally just run, jump, and like occasionally you pick up like a thing that lets you throw fireballs or fly or some shit like that. But Mario 64, they're like, nope, he can dive, he can do a butt stomp, he can do punches and kicks, he can do all this shit. So you could really break the game and get to places you weren't supposed to get to. But they didn't need to do that either. They could have just done run and jump, but they went the extra mile, gave him more moves, made the game. It made you feel like an acrobatic.
Yeah.
Acrobat. That's what I was trying to say, but sorry.
Not just an acrobat, an acrobatic one.
Yeah, an acrobat.
And
does acrobatics.
And they could have just been like, here's a bunch of stages for you to play through, but they had the hub world of the castle, which had its own secrets and places to explore, and just giving you these big open areas to run around and use those new moves and fully explore. It's just props. Like, imagine what happens if they do something wrong and Mario 64 feels bad to control, or people don't like having the freedom to explore everything. I don't even know if we'd be here right now.
I'll tell you, the castle, I think, is one of the biggest like takeaways from that game. That's the thing that I have the most like. Well, that and Bob Battlefield are the two things that I have the most specific nostalgia for. But the castle, like, they just opened the Super Nintendo world at Universal in California, and it's Peach's Castle. Like, that's just what it is, and it's from that game. To the point that when you walk through the entrance, there's portraits on the wall of the levels from Mario 64.
That's cool.
Oh man, how many people try and jump into them and take a picture of themselves doing it? I mean, I absolutely would. I'm not knocking anyone.
They immediately throw you out the door. They're like, "Don't come back ever again." I really liked that there was you could skip some missions that you didn't want to play, which is really cool, because there were a lot of really dumb ones where like you had to race the Koopa Troopa, and there was a bunch of other stuff, and if you didn't like those missions, you could just skip them, because like you didn't need all the stars, you just needed a certain amount.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Really well thought everything.
And there were so many other 3D platformers that tried to capitalize on what Mario 64 did, but none of them are just as legendary as Mario 64 is. Like, there were a bajillion on the PS1, and they were not as good as Mario. You're not Mario. Get out of here.
You're not Mario.
I have always been, like I said, a Nintendo fan, but I've always leaned towards the Zeldas more than the Marios. But for even that reason, I have to praise Mario 64, because Ocarina of Time and subsequently Majora's Mask are both built on the Mario 64 engine. So the work that went to make Mario 64 happened was the groundwork that got used to make the Legend of Zelda games on the Nintendo 64 happen.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Same source engine. Obviously, it's changed quite a bit for Zelda with the addition of items and Z targeting and all that. But the basic, like, walk around and interact with the world engine is the same.
They should do a crossover where they put like Mario in Majora's Mask, and Mario has to like wear all these masks and go back in time, and Mario's a Deku or Deku or whatever it is. Wow!
You know, there is. I'm sure.
I was gonna say someone's had to have modded something like that.
The thing is that there's a massive mod scene for the N64 era Zelda and Mario games. So there's like whole other Mario games that you can play that people have made. But from what I gather, because of them being on the same engine, I think it's relatively easy to swap like models in and out. I think that copying and pasting Mario into Majora's Mask is probably a relatively easy mod.
Someone's like, we did that back in like 2002, man.
God damn it! They're gonna send us like fan mail, like actual fan, like snail mail. They'll be like, "Hey, Aaron, you fucking twit! Like, they did that in 2002. Get real. Signed, fuck
like,
you."
How did you miss
here's
that?
A cartridge of it. Have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was nice. All of a sudden.
My speaking of twits, my next one is it's one that I did play at launch, but it is a game that came out at launch. But Castlevania Circle of the Moon from the GBA.
Yeah.
Ooh, more
Oh
GBA.
my god.
Goodness.
Yeah, dude. So other Castlevanias would have you like Castlevania games after Symphony of the Night, or what are called Egovanias. They would have you explore Dracula's castle. You pick up weapons from enemies. You have different sub weapons, all that shit. But in this game, your main weapon is always the whip, and that doesn't ever change.
Always. Ooh.
Instead, like the. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was to the word always. I was saying which I think is exactly what you're about to explain.
Yeah, there's all sorts. The main gimmick with this game is that there's just a bunch of different cards that enemies will drop when you kill them, and you can mix and match cards to make different effects. Like you can mix like. I forget what exactly the cards were, but there was, I think they had to do with like the enemies, weren't they? Like there was like Golem and like Skeleton and shit like that, or
there's two rows. I think one row is like types of enemies, and the other row is like elements or something. Yep. I think.
Yep, it's coming back to me now. Yeah, because the elements were like planets and shit like that.
Oh right,
yeah, the classic elements.
You could You can mix Golem with like something to give your dude stone armor, so he would either take less damage or take no damage, or like, you know, one in this to give your whip like fire powers, and just all sorts of awesome cool shit to augment your dude and just make him beat the shit out of people. And then of course, typical Castlevania fashion, you'll find other power-ups that'll let you double jump or do other stuff to get around the castle, and it's all open-ended, so you can go, you know, this way first and then go that way, and then once you get this, you can go back the other way. And it's on the Castlevania Advanced Collection. That's on like every system, I think, and it's really fun. It's a good fucking. Everybody else will say the Aria of Sorrow is the better one, but I'm kind of partial to Circle of the Moon. Please don't hate me, everybody.
I don't hate you. I the only Castlevania I've played was that 30 minutes of Castlevania 2.
That was your favorite, right?
I mean, it's the only one I played, so yes.
Technically, yeah. Technically, it's your favorite. Cool. All right.
Circle of the Moon was my first Castlevania game, and I replayed it a few years ago and still really enjoyed it. And then I just played Harmony of Dissonance, I think, is the second one, right?
Yep.
And then I have not played Aria of Sorrow yet, but they're very good. It's that era of Castlevania games.
Yeah.
If you haven't, you should check out Elderand, which is a game that just came out like a week or two ago. It's another one of those. It is somebody else making a GBA Castlevania game.
I'm looking it up right now, and it looks
purchased.
Good. It's on Steam. Oh, it's on Nintendo. Okay,
yeah,
sweet. Okay.
I played it on Switch. Couple frame rate hiccups here and there, but nothing drastic. It was great, and I was glued to it. I beat it in like 4 or 5 days. Like, it was just the game I played every night. Like, oh, so good.
As long as it. Go ahead, Tommy.
No, you can, because I was. You go.
I was just gonna say, as long as it plays like any Castlevania game, Symphony of the Night and onward, I'll do it.
Yeah, it feels a lot like those. It's got a couple differences. Like, you get different weapons, so you like choose whether you're gonna go a sword or a spear. And when you level up, you can pick from 4 different stats. So there's a little bit more modern stuff in there, but it fits really well. And it's bright and colorful is the thing I love about it, which is part of what I love about the GBA Castlevania games, is that they're bright and colorful. And part of that is that they were made for a screen that doesn't have a backlight, so they needed to be bright and colorful for the colors to come through. But so often now, like, Metroidvania games are dark and dreary, and like I'm playing Moonscars right now, which is a really hard one of these, but it's also like all black, white, and red, which for the first like half hour was really cool stylistically, and then it just got really boring because it's just the same colors. And the GBA Castlevanias are like the peak for me of what a Castlevania should be.
Yeah.
With the Game Boy games coming to Switch recently, and our last episode was about Nintendo handhelds, I've very recently just like come back to an appreciation for just how good the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance games were. They had some amazing creativity in their game design and their worlds and everything. Like, we could list endless games that are. I'm playing Fire Emblem for the first time, the GBA one, and I'm just continuously enthralled by how much is packed into that thing, and how you can.
How far are you in it?
Like chapter 24, 25?
Oh, you're past me. I'm stuck on chapter 16. Everybody keeps dying.
I know. I've only recently started. I am the most hesitant person ever. Like, I move so slowly, and there's some chapters that counter that by making you hurry, and I'm like, no, please don't. I'm only recently having people start dying off.
I love that game. I'm playing it through for the first time too, and I'm absolutely loving it, except that I'm stuck on this one level. I need to not bring the merchant with me, because then I don't have to stay back and defend him. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah. I am a boy, dagger through the heart that I missed the Nintendo handhelds episode, because that is my bread and butter. Like, those are the video games I have always loved. I've always been the younger brother, and so like growing up, oftentimes my brother would be playing a game and I'd be sitting on the Game Boy playing something else. And so, you know, I have my own consoles now, obviously, and I have for a lot of my life, but handhelds are still my go-to. Like, that's my default. Especially considering I have a 3-year-old now. And again, oftentimes PJ Masks will be on the TV and I'll be playing something on my Switch. I'm going to stay on handhelds though. I'm debating whether to go DS. I'm going to go DS for the absurdity of it.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about Super Mario 64 again.
Yes.
This time on the DS.
That's right. That's right. I had forgotten that was a launch title.
Super Mario 64 DS is a launch title, and it's a bad title. The game should not be called Super Mario 64 DS. I was actually just having a conversation earlier today with someone about the differences between remakes and reimaginings and re-releases. Yep. Because the one that makes me angry, I hate that Final Fantasy VII Remake is called Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't know if y'all know anything about that game.
I do.
It's not a remake. It's just a new game that has a lot of the same stuff in it. And Mario 64 DS is like not that far, but it's further than just being Super Mario 64 on the DS, because I mean, first of all, you start as Yoshi. You're not Mario, you're Yoshi running around Princess Peach's castle. And then throughout the game, you unlock Mario, Luigi, and Wario as playable characters, and they all play just slightly differently, a la Mario 2 back on the NES. Like each of them controls just a little differently, and there's certain puzzles, certain stars that only specific characters can get. And that's such a cool concept, and it's like that concept is frustrating for people who wanted Super Mario 64 on the DS, and I think this game is often looked down upon because of that, whereas I think that concept is really cool. And this was an era where I was very tuned into like games media. I was watching for the DS, and so I knew that's what it was going to be, and so I was really excited about it. The other issue with this game is that it does not control well, because Super Mario 64 was the first game that was going to be designed to use an analog stick for its control on a home console, and then they brought it to DS. There's not one. So you can use the D-pad, or there's a little strap that came with the original DS that has a little piece of plastic on it that you like screw your thumb into, and then you can use the little piece of plastic on the touchscreen like it's an analog stick.
That's right. What a nightmare.
It was okay, except for that the original DS was about 18 inches wide, and so reaching the touchscreen was challenging. However, I'm here to tell you that if you have a 3DS and you play a DS game on it, it reads the analog stick as D-pad inputs. So Super Mario 64 DS plays beautifully on a 3DS.
Nice.
Man, what a great connection to make between that and the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because you're totally right. Like, the titles lead you to believe it's something that it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, because the conclusion I came to when I was talking about this today with Locathor, another audio-only Let's Play podcaster who has a very weird show you can listen to, was that a remake should aim to, whether it succeeds or not, it should aim to it should aim to replace the original experience and make you say, this is what I remember. And that's not what either of these games do. Final Fantasy VII Remake definitely doesn't. Whereas, like, if you look at Metroid Prime Remastered that just came out, they call that a remastered. It's a heck of a remaster, but it accomplishes that goal. It totally replaces. I never need to go back and play Metroid Prime on the GameCube or the Wii, because the Switch version is the better version. Link's Awakening on the Switch, I think, aimed to do that. Whether it succeeded or not varies a little bit. Some people don't like it as much, but I think the goal with that was that it was trying to replace the original experience and make you say, this is what it was. I remember it being like. Yeah, that's a different conversation. Have y'all already done a remake episode?
I don't think we have.
I don't.
You can have me do that one. Y'all don't even need to show up. I'll just talk to myself for 55 minutes about remakes.
Oh man, we need to write that down. Write it down, Aaron.
Writing it.
Anyway, that's mine. What do you got?
I was gonna say, should we do an ad break, Mr. Aaron?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we'll be right back.
A little positivity and encouragement can go a long way. We've all had those bad days, irritated, angry, and annoyed. Well, we've got a hotline just for that. It's 1-800-BE-HAPPY. At 1-800-BE-HAPPY, we have positivity experts available to take your call 24/7. As soon as your call rings in, our experts will have the biggest inhuman smile that you can't even begin to comprehend with your tiny brain. Our positivity expert will talk with you and walk through your problem with you, providing the utmost positivity along the way. Didn't get that big raise at work? No worries, champ. At least you still have a job. Your wife is leaving you? Could be worse. At least the guy she's seeing is much, much uglier than you. Did someone cut in line in front of you at Starbucks? It's okay, big fella. That extra time spent standing in line was good for your hammies. If there's a problem our experts can't work out with you, we'll send you an enormous teddy bear, a slightly used 2004 Kia Optima, and a gift card to your choice of various restaurants. It's 1-800-BE-HAPPY. Be happy.
I used 1-800-BE-HAPPY just today. I went to my local Taco Bell for breakfast, and the people like didn't come and talk to me like to take my order. So I put it into the keypad, and then they said that their iced coffee machine was broken. I was like, hey, it's okay, I'll just keep waiting. It took like half an hour for me to get my food. So I called 1-800-BE-HAPPY, and they were like, hey man, you got your stuff, right? And you got to, it's okay, you'll be okay. And I was like, yeah, you know what, you're right.
They were like, you know what, you're the only person that goes to Taco Bell to get breakfast anyway, so it's alright. You had a good day.
I got my Baja Blast. It was all good. Thanks, 1-800-BE-HAPPY.
Baja Blast. Baja Blast for breakfast.
That was the most what I got hung up on too. I was like, you can't have a Baja Blast with breakfast. Come on.
And we're back.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Who's ready to talk about more launch titles?
It's you.
It's me. Yeah. It's my turn.
Yes.
After breakfast is launch, and for my Switch, my Nintendo Switch, the launch title I enjoyed was okay. This might not count, so correct me if it doesn't count. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the first game that I had for Switch, which was launch, and specifically I'm picking this one. What, Aaron? What's wrong?
It came out a month after launch.
No, it couldn't have, because I bought it when I bought my Switch.
When did you buy your Switch?
It was a launch.
No.
It came out in April after. It was a month after the Switch came out.
That's launch window.
No. This is initial release date May 29th. Oh no, that's Mario Kart 8. Never mind. I'm not on Deluxe.
What? Well, no, we'll just roll with it. Hey, it's our show. Hey, everybody.
It's
go ahead,
launch
Tommy.
window. You couldn't get a Switch for a while, so it counts.
True.
Anyways,
True.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just did for me such a great job of showing.
I'm very amused by you pushing through on it. And launch plus 50 days. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sony just did their thing where they released the PlayStation VR 2 and they're like, our launch window is going to be 6 months, everyone.
And all the games in our launch window are 3 years old or more.
Yes. So I can count Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Anyways, what it just did such a great job of showing what the Switch was capable of for me, like to my friends. I just always got such a chuckle in my tummy having someone over and like have it on the TV and being like, look, doesn't this look good? Look at the road. You can see the bricks and stuff. And they're like, yeah, it's Mario Kart. That's cool. And I'd be like, check this shit out. And I pull it out and hand it to them. And they're like, oh no, this changes everything about my life. And I'm like, I know. It's wonderful. And okay, like not joking. I literally had a friend say, oh my gosh, we're living in the future. And I'm like, yes, we are. We're living in Nintendo's future.
That was a lot of the feeling that I had with Super Mario 64 DS, jumping back to that, because it was the same thing. It's like Mario Kart 8 existed, and then suddenly it was handheld. And that's kind of what Mario 64 DS did too. It's like it took an experience that you're like, yeah, I understand this experience, but now it's portable. Woo!
Yeah. And having it be 60 FPS, having those bright, sparkly graphics on a handheld. Are you kidding? It's incredible technology, and Mario Kart 8 was my go-to to just show off my technology that I shouldn't have put on my credit card, but I did anyways.
It's wild that like it's such an old game because it came out for the Wii U in like what 2015 or 14 or something.
Probably
2014.
Yeah, and it's still so much fun, and like a lot of people keep saying, why do they keep making DLC for this game? When I don't mean to put this in the voice of Brad Garrett from fucking Everybody Loves Raymond, but it was my default voice. So I'm just gonna roll with it. Why do they keep making DLC for Mario Kart 8? When they could
Raymond, I don't want any more DLC, Raymond.
I just want Mario Kart 9 at this point, Raymond.
Ray, Mom keeps yelling at me to get a job. No, sorry. Welcome to the Everybody Loves Raymond podcast, everybody. No,
it's called Everybody Loves Raymond.
Everybody Loves podcast. Everybody keeps harping Nintendo to make Mario Kart 9, but like, where the fuck would they go? Because Mario Kart 8 is perfect. What else could they add to it besides like Jesus himself riding on a skateboard?
Mercedes-Benz cars in it. You can drive a Mercedes-Benz.
You can drive You can play as Link driving a Mercedes-Benz in this game. I mean, that's a pretty compelling argument.
They could just make it into fucking Need for Speed Underground, but Mario's got like a low rider fucking Kia Sedona or some shit.
Wario's spray painting "wah" on the wall behind him.
I'm gonna dissent a little bit here because I listen. I love Mario Kart 8. I've loved all the Mario Karts starting with 64, the good one, because the Super Nintendo one is a trash fire that makes me vomit.
Yeah.
But there's a lot going on in Mario Kart 8. Like the hover wheel thingies are cool, but I don't like that they're like in every course or almost every course. And I think the new DLC is better with that. I think because they're pulling older tracks for most of that, they're not adding the hover thing into all of them. But I feel like that mechanic was a little bit overused in Mario Kart 8, just tiny.
I agree.
But having said that, I'm not saying why are they still making DLC for it. It's mechanically perfect. There's no reason not to keep milking it, except, and here's my conspiracy theory, launch title for whatever the successor for the Switch is not Mario Kart 9. It's Nintendo Kart, and it's got everything that's in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but
Super
it
Smash
blows the door open, right? Because they've done that with Smash Bros. I don't know what you do for next Smash Bros. Because that truly is like, I just don't know where they go from there. But that is where you could go with Mario Kart, is you could turn it into a Nintendo themed thing. They already peeked at that a little bit by adding Zelda in there and some Zelda themed tracks. Imagine, a Metroid themed track, like. Come on, that would be so cool.
And then
get Donkey Kong Country type levels in there. There's a lot you could do where you expand out a little bit more than what they've done so far. I guess Donkey Kong already has some barrel levels.
Then when you think the trailer's over, in comes Crash Bandicoot on his cart.
Oh man,
crossover.
They were like again in Brad Garrett's voice. Hey guys, sorry we didn't put Crash in Smash Bros, but we got him in Super Smash Kart.
He's working for Nintendo
Bros.
Yo, Cloud is there on a chocobo. Oh,
that would be fucking sick, dude.
What? Solid Snake is just in a box like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes.
No, he's Flintstoning it, dude. He's just legs on the feet on the ground. He's.
Y'all ever played the Sonic racing games?
No. Hey, that leads me to my next pick. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. It was a launch title for the Wii U. I didn't play that one, so I'm going to talk about the 360 version.
This is really stretching it, and I love it.
It's our show, by the way. But yeah, it's my favorite kart racing game. I said I liked Mario Kart 8, and it's a really, really good game. But I love Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. It's my favorite kart racing game ever. I don't care what anybody fucking says. Yes, it kind of copies what Mario Kart does, but Mario Kart has done everything. It just shut up and play it. It's good. It's fun.
No.
There's lots of Sega characters.
Why does he drive a car?
My college roommate agrees with you. It's his favorite kart racing game as well. You're not alone. There's at least two of you.
It's so good, and it kind of borrows a little bit from Diddy Kong Racing as well too, because every so often your car you'll come across these like water segments where your car will turn into a boat, and of course you got to worry about like the waves and all that shit. So you switch from car mechanics to boat mechanics, and that's really cool. And then every now and again your car will morph into like a plane or helicopter, whoever you're playing, and you'll be flying through the sky, and that's really cool. And then all the stages are just fucking awesome, because there's stages from like Golden Axe, obviously Sonic and Super Monkey Ball, Samba de Amigo, all this shit. And it's awesome because all these awesome forgotten Sega franchises that they're just all in this one game, and then they had quite a few different DLC characters like Alex Kidd and Ryo Hazuki on his fucking forklift, and Metal Sonic and a bunch of and it's just fun. It's just good, clean fun. The time attack is really fun. It's there's like a story mode, and the cars, like, you can't really pick different parts like you can in Mario Kart, but you can pick different like modes for them, like acceleration mode or like top speed mode, or you basically customize your car to work how you want it to. Like I always do. I'm an acceleration and handling kind of guy.
Same.
Yeah. Like I want to be able to control the car, and if I get knocked over, I want to be able to, go fast from the start. But yeah, Sonic and All Stars Racing Transform. I'm sorry to have jerked the wheel from you guys, but
it's okay.
Yes.
So you've sold me. I just went and requested the Wii U version from my library. I'm gonna pick it up this week and give it a try.
Do you? Wait. How often do you get things from the library for your Wii U?
This is the first time I've checked
out
Wii U games from the library. I'm surprised they have Wii U games. I've been in the library. I've never seen the Wii U games there. They have a lot of Wii games.
You gotta ask a librarian. You gotta. You gotta be like, am I the only one? I have to know.
But why does he drive a car? He's Sonic. His whole thing is he run fast.
It wouldn't be a competition.
R. That's true. Go play Sonic R if you want him to run.
Sonic really loves cars.
Run. I thought you were saying go play Sonic Car if you want him to run. I was very confused.
Sorry.
I was like, there's a game called Sonic Car in which he's not driving a car?
He's just a car. It's like Cars with Sonic.
Oh, man.
Larry the Cable Guy's in Sonic the Car, or Sonic Car.
Man. I'm going to go to another racing game. Y'all ever played Excite Truck?
Yes. Oh my gosh, dude! You've just unlocked so many memories in my brain.
So Excite Truck was one of the launch titles for the Wii, which also had, of course, well, there's others, but people might mention them. There was a particular game for the Wii that was kind of the big, exciting launch title. And I worked at GameStop at the time of the Wii launch and was not allowed to reserve a Wii at GameStop because we, as employees, basically weren't allowed to reserve them. So I couldn't reserve a Wii. I reserved Twilight Princess because I was like, I know I'm going to get a Wii and I'm going to play Twilight Princess. Oops, I was trying not to say that name just in case someone had on the list. But then I was able to wait in line at midnight at a Fred Meyer and get a Wii. And then I drove from that Fred Meyer to the mall, and my manager was still there, so he let me get in. Or no, he wouldn't let me in. That was the problem. I'm remembering the story now. He wouldn't let me in, so I couldn't get my Twilight Princess. So instead, I had the game I got at Fred Meyer, which was Excite Truck. And you know what? It's great. It's the spiritual successor, I suppose, to Excite Bike on the NES, where you drive big trucks and they go over big jumps, and it feels real fast. And if you shake the Wiimote in the air, they do tricks or something.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun.
It's just fun. It's not amazing. I haven't played it in years. It's one that I'm kind of afraid to go back to because I'm afraid I'll be like, this is actually horrible. But at the time, it was like a really, really fun racing game. And I'm not a huge racing game fan. I like Mario Kart, but outside of that, I don't like a lot of racing games. And a lot of times it's because I don't feel like they give you like a good balance of a sense of speed or a sense of control. I either feel like my car's not going too fast, or I feel like it's going so fast that I have no control over what's happening. And in my memory, Excite Truck balances that really well, along with Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which is the racing game I've always felt like did that best. Again, in my memory, I try not to think about whether I'm right about that or not.
I remember Excite Truck being like, it had like the expected launch angles and landing ramps or whatever, but you could go so fast and do all the flips that you would just fly over everything. It was just like such a dramatic launch into the air, do flips and stuff and landing. It just felt so fun.
I think they did a sequel to it.
They did Excite Bot, Excite Robot or something.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Excite Bots. Was Excite Truck the one where like you held the Wiimote horizontally and you steered by like tilting it left or right? Or
Yep. That sounds right.
Motion controls, baby.
That's cool as hell.
You're never going to use buttons again.
Buttons are for squares and chumps.
Man, this is bizarre because I also have a racing game, even though I'm not a racing person. And this one is a launch title. I Googled it beforehand. MotorStorm for the PlayStation 3.
Oh, I remember this one.
I
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember MotorStorm, everyone. For me personally, just like with the PlayStation 3, they're like, we can fit so many freaking objects on the screen at the same time. You have no idea. And seeing them do that with cars and all the parts flying everywhere, and the big selling point for MotorStorm was if you accelerated, if you you could boost your car, but if you boosted it too much, your car would explode and you would continue flying forward. So like the goal was like at the end of the race, you want to boost so hard that you explode across the finish line because that's your maximum speed. And just seeing all those parts flying everywhere, seeing all the debris, I was like, video games are never going to look better than this. This is it. We've reached the max.
You know, I just pulled up some footage and it still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
This is that same era. So I was at GameStop and I never had MotorStorm, but my memory of it is that we had a kiosk and it just played MotorStorm all day. So I kind of hated this game because I was very tired of seeing and hearing it on loop.
Oh man.
But it still looks pretty fun.
It was on the demo station at the Walmart that I worked at, and there was a girl that liked me. Have I told this story before, Aaron?
No, keep going, please.
Man. Okay, there was a girl cashier that liked me, and I did not like her back. And I was I was in high school at this time. I didn't know how to do anything social situations like that. So my idea was, I'll just play MotorStorm on the demo disc until she goes away. and she didn't. She just kept hanging around, and so I like started being weird. I was like, I'm gonna make this guy explode. Boom, haha. And she's like, you're really weird. And I was like, no, it's fun. Watch, boom, haha. And then she finally walked away, and I was like, oh man, smooth. I'm so smooth. Got rid of her.
Smooth.
MotorStorm had 5 games in its series.
Did it? I remember this one in the PlayStation 4 one.
What I'm seeing says 3 PS3 games, a PSP/PS2 game, and then the last one was a Vita game called MotorStorm RC. What? Gee, I wonder why that failed.
On the Vita?
In 6 years even. Wow.
Yeah.
My one big memory with this game
was
we went to a Best Buy one time for some reason back in those days, and they had it on, I think it was like on a 3D TV or 3D display, because you could play split screen but not split screen. Like one screen would be the actual TV screen and the other screen would be like the 3D layer on it, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, PlayStation 3 could play 3D games. And like never advertised it.
Now look where 3D TVs and shit are, in the trash. Like no one has them.
Yeah. Suck it, PlayStation.
Let's keep the racing game train rolling, dude.
Yes!
Need for Speed Most Wanted.
This is a racing game podcast now.
It was a launch title for the 360, and I double dipped. I owned it on the GameCube, but then I also bought it on the 360. I was like, oh, it looks so good. Look, it looks so realistic, and it's still my favorite Need for Speed game because the story is just stupid and the characters are stupid. But I like the idea that like you just basically beat each of these like elite racers on this elite racer list, and you have a chance to fucking take their car from them and leave them homeless and shit. Well, you don't actually leave them homeless, but like you take their car and it had a lot of cool customization options. Nowadays, it's a little bit overwhelming because you can customize like anything on a car. Like you just put a fucking sticker on your tires or something stupid. I don't know, but Most Wanted was just fun and it was good. You get away from the cops by hiding at a fucking gas station or something stupid, and it's a good game. It's fun.
Remember, I miss those days of seeing launch titles and being like, wow, nothing's gonna look better than this. This looks great, because now it's like we've kind of reached the apex of graphical fidelity, and the games look good. They look really good, but it's not like a giant leap.
Yeah, it's like, nah, hey, look, you remember The Last of Us and how good it looked on the PS3? Well, hey, look over here. Hey, look, it's on the PS4 and it looks great. Oh, hey, look, and now it's on the PS5 and it looks even greater. And
buy it again. Please buy it again.
Why twice?
3 times. 3 times over.
Troy, please tell me you have a racing game for your next one.
I don't.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I don't. I'm looking at my list of possibilities, and none of them are racing. I want to shout out Geometry Wars Retro Evolved.
That's a good one.
Yes,
that's a really good one.
This was launch title on the 360 Xbox Live Arcade. Yeah. At one point, it held the record for the most downloaded Xbox Live Arcade game, which does not surprise me at all because it's great. It is just a classic arcade game where you're just a little ship and you're flying around and you're shooting with your right stick and flying with your left stick, and you can use bombs with your triggers, and that's pretty much it. And you just go for a high score. The thing that sets it apart is it just looks outstanding. It is like crazy neon vibes and awesome music. I actually played this yesterday because I was looking for games to play with my kiddo, and I was like, oh, Geometry Wars. And you know what? It still looks real good.
Yeah. Those particles.
Yeah. The thing that makes me sad about Geometry Wars is I was like, whatever happened to that? And it turns out a lot happened to it. There was like a Wii version, a DS version. It got released on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. It came to phones. There was a Vita version. Then the ending of this story is sad because Geometry Wars was an Activision title, and as Activision does, they shut down the studio that made it.
God damn it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I mean, I'm not a fan of giant corporations controlling everything, but the idea of Microsoft getting the Activision library and being able to bring games back, I want that.
Well, so interestingly, this was actually it was a Microsoft Game Studios game from 2003 to 2008, and then somehow Vivendi Games got involved in 2007. I don't know how that worked, but Vivendi Games also published a game called Metal Arms Glitch in the System, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And then there was hope for a sequel for that, but it didn't happen because Vivendi Games got absorbed into Activision. So cool. Activision killed Vivendi Games, and in the process killed both Metal Arms Glitch in the System and eventually Geometry Wars. Cool.
They were like, this isn't Call of Duty. People want Call of Duty, damn it.
This game is fun and colorful. Get rid of it.
Literally just a guy in a suit. A guy in a suit looking at it like, this isn't Call of Duty. Why are we wasting any time?
He rubs his temples. Like he's all frustrated. He's like, why isn't this Call of Duty?
Everybody who makes this game should stop making this game, and instead that entire studio should be devoted to how reflective the boots are in Call of Duty, because that's where we're going to make our money, is in shiny boots.
Yeah. How many more games do people have on their list, I should say? No.
I mean, I have a couple other I could mention. I made a big list because I was worried they were all going to get taken.
What about you, Aaron?
I have 1, 2-ish.
Okay. I have 2-ish as well. So we'll each do 2 more, or I
can do 2-ish more.
Okay. I for my next pick, watch in amazement as I tell you about Halo Combat Evolved for the original Xbox.
Oh man.
Imagine a world where shooters don't use 2 sticks, and now they do. That's what Halo brought to the world, and it changed gaming forever. I mean, Halo did a lot of things that really set the bar for first-person shooters, like mainly the whole 2 sticks thing. And I remember the first time I played Halo at a friend's house, I could not figure it out. I was like, this is the dumbest control scheme I've ever experienced in my life.
Why isn't it like GoldenEye?
You're just looking at the floor the whole time, or whatever?
No, I was looking at the sky. It was always the sky, because even the multiplayer aspect, someone would shoot at me and I would get scared and scream and just start shooting into the sky. The only way I could shoot someone was to go into a building, wait by the doorway with my thing already aimed, and just wait for someone to walk in and start shooting them. I learned camping right then and there as a child.
Holy shit.
And I played like that for a long time, actually, sadly. But also the whole multiplayer shooter thing, that had been done before, obviously. But for me personally, like going to a friend's house and everyone playing Halo with their split screen on the TV was just some super fun memories. And man, Good old. And again, that was Microsoft's first console, and they came out with Halo. If they don't have Halo, they don't really have anything.
Yep.
It's in the couch co-op for like the campaign and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't play 4 or 5. Anything after. Well, no. So I played 1, 2, 3, and Reach. Yeah, and Reach. I played all those co-op, and the couch co-op is just so much fun.
Yeah, Halo is a series I've played a lot of, but all the best times playing it have been playing couch co-op. I don't remember if they ever fixed. I was gonna play co-op with a buddy a couple years ago, and we couldn't because he was on PC and I was on Xbox. I don't know if they ever fixed that in the Master Chief Collection.
I'm pretty sure they did, because I'm decently sure I did that with a friend, but I could be wrong, because now we both have Xboxes, and so we both played over Xbox.
That's a fun game to play co-op. I don't do a lot of multiplayer gaming. Again, 3-year-old, but like Halo co-op is so much fun that like that's a game I could see making time for. Of like, let's figure out a time, get down, get some Cheetos and Mountain Dew, and play some Halo, because that's a good memory, a good nostalgia. I think it'd still be fun.
I remember I got Halo Infinite when it launched, because it was on Game Pass. You get everything on Game Pass, and I went into a multiplayer match, and it starts with you being like, if someone's got a headset, you can hear them. And the first match, it was like a bunch of dudes in their 30s who had like come out of a cave. We were all like, oh, it's Halo. Everyone, it's Halo. and like after everyone started running a bit, then like the squad talk, like, okay, someone take the motorbike, I'm gonna head for the flag, anyone gonna cover it? It was just so fun to just experience that again after all these years. And then everyone kind of moved on from it, me included, but just for that brief minute, it was so fun.
The vehicles in the Halo series are so other first person shooters didn't use vehicles as much as Halo did, and those were so much fun, like the Warthog and the Ghost and all the other goofy ones like the Banshee and the Wraith. Dude, the Warthog especially was really fun. You could just flip it and like kill your friends on accident. You'd be like,
yes.
Like, the control scheme on the Warthog was so cool too. Like they did a great job with the control scheme for just the standard gameplay, but they didn't make you deal with like a gas and brake on the Warthog. It's just it's point and go, and that works so well.
Speaking of couch co-op games, kind of, Power Stone on the Dreamcast, launch title for the Dreamcast. Power Stone, everybody. Troy,
tell me more.
Power Stone?
I have not played Power Stone. I've heard very good things about it, and I played a little bit of the Disney Infinity 3.0 Superheroes expansion that was apparently a Power Stone ripoff, but that's the extent of my experience.
Yeah, Power Stone, basically, how do I explain it? It's like an arena brawler kind of thing. So you pick your characters, and I think it goes up to like 4 people, of course, and your characters each kind of have like their own little play style, but ultimately what you're supposed to do is like you can pick up items and objects and shit on the field and like throw them at enemies, and every so often different weapons and like food and shit will drop from the sky, and of course food heals you. Weapons, it'll be anything from like a minigun to like a baseball bat to like a battle axe to a fucking laser cannon or something. And you just want to be the last one standing. You just blast the piss out of your enemies, and what really set it apart was not only that, but every so often they would drop these like gems with, of course, power stones. And if you got, I think it's like 3, or if you got a certain number, like 3 or 4, I think, you would go into like supercharged mode. I forget what that was called as well too. I apologize, but yeah, you'd be able to do this super awesome, powerful move, and it would just annihilate your opponent. And then also in the meantime too, the stages were very dynamic, because like there was this one, I forget if this is on the first game or the second one, but there was one stage that's like on a plane. You start off on a plane, and every so often these missiles will be fired on different locations on the field, and then eventually the plane will nosedive and crash, and you'll be in this other area, and then you fight it out there, and then the ground eventually falls apart, and you fall down to this other area, and it's super cool. Like the stages they change like 2 or 3 times, and there's just, and some of the stages too, they also have like, there's this one like jungle temple where eventually you and everybody else is playing, you have to like jump up these they basically turn into a platformer almost. You have to jump up these little platforms, trying to make it to the top, and then anybody who doesn't, of course, they take damage or they die. And once you do get to the top, of course, you're in this new arena, and Yeah, it's super fun. I don't like the bots are kind of stupid, but when you get actual people playing it, it's super fun. It's really good.
Sounds like a game really ahead of its time.
It was basically like Sega's Smash Bros. Almost, but it was. I kind of prefer that over Smash Bros. Like I just want multiplayer, fucking chaos and madness. I mean, no, I don't know. I guess it's not really like Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Is more like a fighting game. This one's more like a.
Yeah, the gameplay is more like a brawler, but you're fighting other players.
God damn it! It's just this needs to. I don't know why they haven't. Capcom, come on, dude, bring it to modern consoles. It's what people / Aaron wants. Bring it to us, please.
I would totally play this if it came out because, like I said, I played the Disney Infinity kind of knockoff version of it, and it was really fun. And I'd be very interested in checking out like a full game in that style.
Yeah,
there's gotta be somebody's got to made like an indie version of it, right?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't
people
really
know.
He hasn't found one yet.
Are starting to make like that's the current crop of like cool indie creators are Dreamcast gamers. So I feel like they got to be out there.
Aaron, do better Googling. Find it.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Power Stone. Go, Troy. What's your next one?
I'm gonna go with the most recent one on my list, which is Astro's Playroom, which is a pack-in title for the PlayStation 5. Like it's just on the hard drive when you get a PlayStation 5, and it is a game in the Astro series of games, which previously was a bunch of mini games and then a very cool platformer that you could only play in PlayStation VR. And this one it's a 3D platformer. Collectathon type game dedicated to the PlayStation 5 and also the history of the PlayStation family of products. So as you play through the levels, there are just a ton of other little robots because you play as a little robot. There's other little robots who are like filming scenes from PlayStation games. Like in the first area you go to, you're at a beach and there's a robot with a camera filming a robot dressed up as Kratos and a smaller robot in a canoe being God of War 2018. Like the game is just everywhere you look, there's some little thing happening like that. And then the things you collect unlock this like interactive PlayStation museum that has all the different PlayStation products, all the official like controllers and accessories and all that. So it's really cool from that perspective. It's also just a really good 3D platformer. It is a Mario quality level to me, and that's a very high bar, but this is as good as a Mario game in my book. It also does some really cool stuff with using the PlayStation 5's controller because it has some really unique features on it, and the game makes really good use of that as well. So it's like a very good showcase for the PlayStation 5 in terms of the controller, a very cool look back at the history of PlayStation, and then on top of that, it's just a really fun game to play. And it's just there when you get the console. So, yeah.
That sounds like the perfect launch title. Like
it's great. And it's the kind of thing I could see people getting a PlayStation 5 and never looking at because, again, they wanted to see the shiny boots in Call of Duty. But you should check out Astro's Playroom. If you've got a PlayStation 5 and you haven't played it, go play it because it's fantastic. And it looks really good, too. It's one of the best looking things I've played on the PlayStation 5. It's got great music, and it is a joy to play. And it's one my kiddo loves now, too. Like I said, I've got a 3-year-old. He's getting into video games, and he really loves the robot game, as he calls it. He makes zero progress in it, but it's just fun for him to run around in it because it's such a like vibrant and exciting and fun world to be in.
I just want to feel the controller. I just realized now that I still haven't played a PlayStation 5 and felt the tactile feedback. I got to know how it feels.
It's cool. A lot of games don't do much with it, but when a game does something with it, it's pretty cool.
I found a good Power Stone clone, fellas. It's
Yes.
Mighty Fight Federation, and it's on like everything. And it's got guest characters, some ukulele, Toe Jam and Earl, and Kunio-kun people.
Is there Shovel Knight? It's got to have Shovel Knight. They're probably working on it. They're probably working on it.
But yeah, they're probably working on it. Hey everybody, coming soon, Shovel Knight.
It's funny that you mentioned the PlayStation 5 because I actually had a bit of a twist for my pick for Xbox Series X because boy, there really weren't a lot of exclusives for Xbox Series X, but what it did have on launch was everything on Game Pass. And I honestly just want to shout that out because, like, we've talked about other consoles where they're like, here's your 5 or 6 games that you can play. And with the Series X/X, they were like, here's everything from our past Game Pass library and the Xbox store. And it just totally, like, it made that value proposition for me, at least, a lot easier to handle, being able to just buy a console and have like 100+ games to play right out of the box. And that's like just one of those we're living in the future things, is like just buying a console and having hundreds of things to play. It's something I never would have imagined as a kid, and it's just really cool that Microsoft does that, and how they went back with the what's it called, where you can play 360 and Xbox One games. They just
backwards
compatibility.
Thank you, backwards compatibility. They put some people in a back room for like 8 years and just had them fix as many games as they could. They didn't need to do that.
Not including Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed, I'll have you know, because that's why the phrase backwards compatibility was at the top of my lips, because I just looked that up a few minutes ago.
Nice. Yes, as many games as they could, some that people would never play again, but they did anyways, and it's just really great to have a console on launch to play 100+ games.
I had a horrifying moment the other day where I was scrolling through my Xbox going, man, I don't really want to play any of these games. I should go see what else there is. And then I saw that I have 98 games installed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, with 98 games installed, I can't find anything to play. Like, young Troy would be appalled. Like,
I know. I do
go
the
buy
same
Symphony
thing.
of the Night. It's on there. Go buy Symphony of the Night.
It is on there. I've played it. I've played it since I played the Game Boy Advance Castlevanias. I've played Symphony of the Night.
Is it my turn now,
yes.
Or was that Troy's?
No, that was me. That was actually one that I had written down.
Okay. Oh yeah, because Troy's was Master's Playroom. Okay. Yeah, my next one. It's another Dreamcast launch title, Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
Also to shout out Xbox backwards compatibility, because the Xbox Live Arcade version is backwards compatible on the Series X and S and all that stuff. But Sonic Adventure is just, it's cool as hell. There's multiple playable characters. Each one has their own way to play, their own levels and stuff like that. And the Chow Garden started there. Sonic Adventure, everybody. Chow Garden.
The Orca whale, the killer whale.
Oh yeah, the in the first level toward the end, yeah, I just did the whole Free Willy arc jump right over playing that one Michael Jackson song or whatever.
That was the entirety of my Dreamcast knowledge when I was a child, was the killer whale scene.
God damn it, what a good game, dude.
That was the first 3D Sonic, right?
Yes, yeah, because they were supposed to have one on the Saturn, Sonic Extreme, but that got canceled.
Sonic Extreme.
Rip Sonic Extreme.
It's really interesting how, I think we might have talked about it before, but like it seems like the current crop of gaming YouTubers that at least I watch were like super big fans of Sonic Adventure. Where like a few years ago, the YouTubers I watched were like, that's a terrible game. It's not Sonic at all.
Well, nuts to them. I've always thought Sonic Adventure was great. I owned the director's cut on GameCube back in the day, and I liked it.
Yay!
So fart on them.
Someday I'll play and enjoy a Sonic game. I'm sure it'll happen. Hasn't yet. But
Same for me. I haven't either.
I think Sonic Adventure is installed on my Xbox right now, so
nice.
Maybe I'll have to give that a shot.
Or Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure 2 had the better Chow Garden, but I just like the aesthetic of like the whole city and the connecting areas and like the free roam bullshit of the first Sonic Adventure, and then the music is really good.
Butt Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Butt Rock, everybody. This episode brought to you by Butt Rock.
Your turn, Troy.
I'm gonna say my last one I'm gonna mention is What the Golf, which was a launch title for Apple Arcade.
Oh, shit, left field as fuck.
Yeah, Apple Arcade is a subscription service for games on iOS and Apple TV devices. That part of the stipulation, I guess, for being on Apple Arcade is that you don't have microtransactions in the game. And What the Golf is a game that's a golfing game, except it's absolutely bizarre and does all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's very, very fun. It's on the Switch as well. And the reason I love it so much for Apple Arcade is because I think that if this game was not developed for Apple Arcade, it would have been terrible, because I think it would have had a ton of pricing throughout. It doesn't feel like something where they would have sold it to you for $5 on the iPhone. They would have sold you each like set of levels for $1,
or would have a timer and you could pay for the timer to go down. Yep, I could see that totally.
So yeah, What the Golf is really fun, and they've recently released a VR game called What the Bat, where your hands are baseball bats and you have to accomplish ordinary tasks with baseball bat hands, and it's also fantastic.
I can also vouch for What the Golf. It's really fun and does a lot of creative things. It's not a golf game. I mean, it is a golf game, but it's you don't need to enjoy golf to play What the Golf. It might be better if you don't.
Sorry,
actually.
My 3-year-old's informing me that he's going to have a popsicle. He's very excited.
Jealous.
That's fun. Wait, what flavor? What color?
Yeah, what flavor?
Addie, do you want to say what flavor or what color you're having?
Please be.
Did you guys hear that?
No.
Come here. You can be on the podcast for a second. It's another guest. Oh, you don't want to be on this podcast? Oh. Normally he likes saying hi when I'm recording stuff.
Did you tell him that we have a lot of Twitter followers?
It'll be really good for your SEO, Addie. He's having a blue popsicle.
Nice.
That's a good pick. I actually didn't have any more. So
you told us you had more.
I did say 2-ish, but I think I'm looking at my list and I talked about them all.
That's fine if you don't.
Betrayal.
Maybe I don't know. No, I don't have any more. Does anyone else have any more that they want to throw out?
What about Breath of the Wild? I mean, that was the launch title for the Switch. I'm surprised you didn't say that one.
Yeah, because Mario Kart was the first one I bought. It was between those two, and I'd never played Zelda before, so I went with Mario Kart. But I did eventually get Breath of the Wild, and I love it.
Oh, yeah, I'm out of them.
I'll shout out 3 real quick.
Yes,
Rogue Squadron on the GameCube is absolutely fantastic. Spider-Man Miles Morales came out as a launch title for the PlayStation 5. It's also on the PlayStation 4, but the PlayStation 5 version looks a little bit better, and the whole game is just a slightly better version of the previous Spider-Man game, which ruled. And finally, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on the Game Boy Advance is still a great video game.
There it is.
Hell yeah.
There it is, everyone. That's every launch title that is good. If you can think of a launch title that's good that we didn't say, you're wrong. And but please still feel free to reach out to us to tell us. And where can they do that, Aaron?
superpodsaga.com, all one word, superpodsaga.com. We find all of our social medias there, and then donation section if you want to give us just a tiny small donation via PayPal or you can become a patron. There's a lot of cool stuff there, but otherwise just enjoy the show.
Yeah. And what about you, Troy? Where can people name your podcast again, and then where people can find it?
Sure. What, you've forgotten the name of TroytlePower?
No, I've got it written down.
Podcast with TroytlePower.
No,
it has its own Twitter handle. Its Twitter handle is at tpptpp. No, wait, tpptpp. Shoot, I've got lost in the abbreviation. So don't follow that. Follow me at TroytlePower on Twitter, and go to TroytlePower.com or geek2geekmedia.com to find a whole lot more of me everywhere.
Perfect. Yes. Excellent. Thank you so much for being here today, Troy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. This was super fun.
Oh yeah. I have to say what next. It's my turn to pick next week's topic, right?
Yes.
Okay. So next week I want to talk about how am I going to describe it? Like games adjacent media. I want to talk about the TV shows we watched, the magazines we read, the websites we visited to fill our games with video game knowledge.
That's a fun topic.
So like Game Informers and like Nintendo Powers and like
But would you also include like some Mario cartoons and things like that?
Yes.
Or you're talking about games media?
Well, I was thinking games media, but if someone wants to talk about cartoons, they can do that too.
That's a fun one.
And
I like it.
Yes.
Can I tell you my hyper-specific topic I think you guys should cover at some point, because I don't want to do the research to write an article about this.
Absolutely.
Except if I do, I'll let you know, and then you can't do it.
Absolutely.
Grappling hooks.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
My 3-year-old knows the phrase grappling hooks, and it's one of my favorite, like most prideful things is that he knows what a grappling hook is.
That's beautiful. Oh man. Okay. So, listeners, thank you. Thank you for being here. Check out Troy's podcast. Check out our podcast in the future. Thank you for listening. You're all wonderful. Bye.
Bye.